In this video, I'll be taking you through the steps of adding an accent wall to the living room, giving it a nice contrast of some darker colors and some lighter colors to bring everything together in this space. We first begin by removing anything that is already on the wall to make sure we don't get paint on those items or on those things once we begin painting in just a little bit. You can also put tape on the edges if you would like to make sure that nothing gets covered with paint on the surrounding areas, or you can just be very careful with the paintbrush and begin painting without having to use the tape. I put butcher paper at the bottom just to make sure I don't get paint on the floor. I personally like to begin with painting all the edges. In this case, I'm going to be painting all the edges that will cover only one wall of the entire living room. At the very end, it'll be much easier for me to use a ruler and then complete the rest of the areas that don't have paint. It does take a little bit of time to be able to paint all the edges, but once you see the final result, it is very worth it to have some very nice lines. The paintbrush that I'm using is a very nice choice. I had never used a paintbrush like this one, but it's very nice at the fact that it has an edge at the bottom. So instead of being just a straight section, it is cut at an edge, which gives you more flexibility with how you want to move the paintbrush in any section you're working with. Once you're ready to start with the sections closer to the ceiling, you may want to grab a chair or a stool or somewhere where you can safely get on to make sure you can still continue to get the very nice lines that are not just with the wall next to it, but also with the ceiling, and continue to have a very nice accent wall that will soon be completed. Now that I've completed all the edges of all the sections in the accent wall, I will be starting with including my roller as part of the painting process so I can start covering the larger areas and be pretty much completely done once I'm done covering all the sections that still need paint, but much easier and faster with the roller. This was the reason why it was really nice to do the edges at first and now just be one step away from being done. And our accent wall is ready, just waiting for the paint to dry. As you can see behind me now, the wall is completely done and ready for us to get started putting everything back in place. I did paint it yesterday in the afternoon, evening time, so I wanted to wait until this morning to start putting everything back in place, just in case I had to do any last touch-ups and really just to make sure the whole was able to dry overnight. I do have a quick tip to share with you. I did do some touch-ups this morning. I actually put my paintbrush in a Ziploc bag. I did that last night and I did it one more time after I did the touch-ups in the very top section of the wall, just to make sure that if I needed to do any more touch-ups, my paintbrush was still fresh. So once I put in the Ziploc bag, I put it in the fridge. So this morning I was still able to use it just like I was using it yesterday. So cool tip, so for us to not have to use a new paintbrush, or if you wash it, it's just not the same as the original time you were using the paintbrush. So this is a cool tip. Now it's time though for us to get ready and start putting everything back in place and bringing everything together in the living room. I'm using the measuring tape just to be sure the spacing is the same on both sides of the shelves, and I'll be doing the same thing with the measuring tape later as well for the different items to have the same spacing in between them.